And this one was the one I saw. I don't think you didn't see this one.
I haven't seen it yet, no, but I want to.
So this is Red Sparrow.
No, not Red. I'm thinking of one further down the list. But
we'll get to that. So this is Red Sparrow. Mm-hmm. All right. So prima ballerina Dominika Igorova faces a bleak and uncertain future after she suffers an injury that ends her career. She soon turns to Sparrow School, a secret intelligence service that trains exceptional young people to use their minds and bodies as weapons. Igorova emerges as the most dangerous Sparrow after completing the sadistic training process. As she comes to terms with her new abilities, Dominika meets a CIA agent who tries to convince her that he is the only person she can trust. So, it's going to be hard for me to review this one a little bit because it's been a little while since I've seen it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try to go based off of what I can remember of it, which I like this movie. It's definitely well directed and very well acted. My main issue with this movie was this movie is dark and it goes places that you probably would never expect a movie to go. That you have nothing. It's pretty sadistic, and the gore is actually it's brutal. The violence is very brutal. There's not a lot of it, but the violence that is there is brutal, but not bloody. So it's not. It's just things that happen to these characters. That the violence is really brutal and hard to watch. But if you're scared of gore, it's not that. It's not there. So which is good, I guess, because that would have just made this way harder to watch than it was. But there's a lot of shocking things that, especially with Jennifer Lawrence's character, that this is one of probably her most challenging roles. I'd have to imagine this is one of the most challenging roles she's ever done. But that being said, there's not a lot of payoff. It's a lot of shock, but with no substance. So there's not a lot of reason for why it goes as dark as it does in this movie, which is kind of underwhelming. Because then you're just watching a lot of stuff for this stuff that's going to maybe shocking to a lot of people for no reason, which I found pretty upsetting. But this, like I said, it's beautifully shot, well acted, well directed. The pacing wasn't too bad. I've heard a couple people that had complaints about the pacing being pretty slow, but I thought it was pretty well paced. I never felt disengaged or anything in this movie, and I thought it had a pretty good, some pretty good twists in it. Some people thought their opinions of the movie. They said that they never really were able to tell which side Jennifer Lawrence was on, whether she was on, what's the actor's name?
Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton's character, or she was on his side, or she was on the side of the Russian government. I never really felt that way. I felt like there were some nice twists to it, but I always felt like I knew where she was. But maybe it's because I had heard that ahead of time, so I knew to pay more attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I kind of knew where she was, seemed to know where she was going most of the time. And I felt like they left enough hints and clues to give you that information.
Okay.
But, well, that being said, I probably would watch this movie again. I think this movie deserves a second watch.
Mm-hmm.
But, definitely, there's those story elements, like I said, with not a lot of payoff. I think it's just because of the length of this movie. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, so I don't think it should have been longer. But I think the story needed it to be longer. And I think with that being said, I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10.
Okay. 7.
So that's a C-.
Okay, I got a question about this movie.
What's up?
You don't think this is another one of those studio movies where they felt like well, we need to have one of those sex and violent thrillers for the year.
I think if this was not in that movie, it probably wouldn't have sold very well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't think that I don't think any studio would have wanted them to go as dark as the movie did. So I think those elements
you know what I mean by
one
of those sex and violent thrillers where it's like the whole shock in it is like how far we're going in both of these extremes,
right?
Like a History of Violence or Eastern Promises kind of movie.
Exactly. Yes. But those movies executed that so much better than
that's
this
what
one.
I'm saying. That word I'm saying. That's what was that what you feel they were going for with this?
I think so. I think that's what they were going for. I think that was one of the big selling points for this movie. How this movie got its funding. They said we can get Jennifer Lawrence in this movie, and but there's just, like I said, there's no substance in it. But I mean, like I said, the movie was executed pretty well. Besides that, I think it was interesting. Those were interesting and things that were probably important for this story. But like I said, it just did not ultimately pay off.
Okay.
There was just some parts that were in there that moved the story along. That would have been like when she's in the Sparrow School. That lasts a total of maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and that could have gone for easily 30 to 45 minutes. So it just felt rushed at that point. Because I mean, but I don't know. There was a lot of natural abilities that she had that helped her get along through that school, and then there was also it was more of the natural abilities that I think were important in her character that helped her become this very one of the top sparrows, I guess you would say, from that school, because she didn't complete it. She never. That's not a spoiler or anything, but she didn't complete Sparrow School. She got pretty much kicked out, but they said, you can go ahead. We're going to go ahead and make this girl a sparrow. She's got some natural abilities. But
so you didn't graduate, but you're still a sparrow. What?
She couldn't. She just had some natural ability. Or it was a bit of nepotism there, because her uncle was the one that got her in there. But yeah,
I get it.
So yeah, so like I said, 7 out of 10. It's a C-. I'm gonna probably watch it again just to see if there's some parts that I may have missed in there, and I'll adjust my score accordingly if I need to. But for the most part, yeah, it's pretty much a C-. There was some minor some disappointments that were major in the story that I think would have benefited from an extra 20 to 30 minutes of story development.
All right.
Especially the romance. That one. They have good chemistry together, but naturally that was very rushed.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But two good-looking people, though, falling in love with each other isn't something that's so completely uncommon from these types of movies. In a spy setting.
When they're both on opposite sides of the line.
Yeah.
That's like plot X.
Yeah. But she's just, I don't know. She was an emotionally intelligent character, which I think is what benefited her so well, where she felt like she can trust these people, because I guess she just knows people's emotions and abilities a little better than
apparently most. From the plot synopsis, she can actually see emotions as color.
Yeah. They the way they use color to tell this story was an interesting cinematic way. From a cinematic view, the way that they use color in this movie was pretty neat.
Okay.
To tell the story, which I thought was smart. There's a lot. This was, like I said, very well directed. I just think there's just some things that, from a production standpoint, that would have complicated making the story a little better, I guess. But they were just things that's naturally needed to be there for me to have enjoyed this movie a little better.
Okay.
So, guys, have you seen Red Sparrow? What did you think of it? Do you agree with my opinion? Do you have your own? I mean, I do want to hear your opinion anyway. Whether you agree with me or not, I want to hear your opinion of Red Sparrow. And if you took it a little differently, I want to know what your thoughts are. So let me know in the comments or anywhere else that you can reach me at. So we're going to move on to the next story.